which is it's almost mating. I mean, I don't think it's really a question of. Now bishop takes d5, leaves my king wide open, but I'm not sure how strong his attack is here. Queen d8. Man, I hate when I click on the board. If I take with check, my king looks horribly open. He can take and play like queen e6, threatening queen h6, which is really scary for me. So I think if I do something, it should probably be like queen d8 and try to defend somehow. Try to defend. a7 pawn is hanging, but I guess I can take on d5 and try to hold this. I think feels like white is better, even down the exchange. My king is open. I have a pretty bad structure, and queen d8 too passive. What would you suggest? What isn't passive there for me? It seems that almost every move is passive for black in this position. I can't imagine an aggressive move. Queen a4, I think I just hang my whole position. I mean, he has knight takes e7 check, queen f6 check. It looks very dangerous. Okay, queen f8, rook c5. Rook c5, I guess he goes b4. So time is an issue. I'm going to play queen f8. This is passive too. There's no question about it. Maybe I can fianchetto my queen. What? Rook c5 b4. I didn't understand what I'm doing after that. He has no issues with playing b4. b4 is a good move. It's a constructive move for him. No, I don't really like rook c5. He just plays b4. It doesn't do anything. That was the move I wanted to play, but I think b4 helps him. You know, it sort of solidifies his queen side. So now he's on. It looks like he's going to be on the h file. I've got to defend myself. And the plan is, I guess, queen g7. Trading the bishop for knight theoretically is good, but he's got too many. He's an awful lot of threats on the white squares. Obviously, I'm going to have to give up the thing at some point. Now he's got knight f6 check I can take, so this looks okay. Yeah, this is a situation where I can start thinking about maybe taking on d5, but he always has a lot of threats on the white square, so it's not just so easy. I mean, I may have to do it at some point. I was trying to find the best moment to do it, basically. Try to find a good moment to take on d5. Maybe when his queen can't capture on d5 is a little better. But I think white has got massive compensation for material here. Just massive compensation. Like, if it's probably like a pawn or two advantage for white, I would imagine. The rook plan. Now, I was thinking f5 for white is going to be an issue. I might have to go to the f file to protect myself. King h8 is another idea I'm going to have to probably play at some point. Looks like king h8 and rook f8. Alright, it's just 5-5 though. There's this big increment. If he plays f5, I guess I could think about queen e5 there. Looks like we have some threats here somehow. f5, wow. So if queen e5, rook e1, I can take on d5 there. It doesn't look that clear. g6. I don't think I'm afraid of g6. He could play rook g8 to just trade my rook off. I think black is winning now. Yeah, I don't know what else he can do there. The first time I've actually been comfortable with my position the whole game. Move 11, man. Yeah, I didn't intend to play the dragon. Trust me. It looks like we should be winning this. Our king is safe on the dark squares. And here we got this move. So he's got to run away. C1 or... Okay. I guess I try to trade queens. I did drop that one. I should still be winning. Yeah, his pawns are all pretty weak. And no passer for white, so... He can't hold them all on the white squares. Too many weaknesses. But this was a weird game. I had the feeling I misplayed it. I mean, the opening. I don't know. It looked like white had massive, massive threats. So I guess we just take this guy. I'm not sure. Maybe the f-pawn would be better to go for the f-pawn. No, I have to get a passer. Let's move our a-pawn up first. And then maybe take under... Take. Yeah, he takes... This is not a win. I'm going to have to temporize and improve my king. He's got that move too. Wow. How do I get my king to a better position here? This is really strange. He resigned now. I wasn't making progress. Yeah, I thought it was an engine trolling in. No, I mean, it's pretty well-known theory. I don't know, though. It's been a long time since I looked at those lines. Guardian X and Liberian. I don't know if you know that Spinal Tap, if you know the dragon, but my theoretical knowledge sort of ended when he played h4, h5. It looks like logical, but my understanding was that queen g5 was the key move. Maybe theory has advanced since the last time I looked at that. But anyway, what he did seemed good enough. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. Bishop takes d5. I can assure you guys that white is clearly better in all lines. If I take on d5 or not. So, yeah, this is fun if you're like a Peertz player, you can play d6, but since it's not really part of my repertoire, I have no choice but to play d5. Now, bishop f4 is the main move for white, which is a system that was played heavily by Mark Hebden, the English Grandmaster, and a friend of mine. Actually, it'd be good to see what Hebden did against that as black, because he plays the King's Indian too. I think they had a name for that system. But you can also play different ways for white. Like Hebden used to play bishop f4, e3, bishop e2, and h4, h5. That was Hebden's setup. But there's also queen d2, and try to castle queenside for white. What white is doing here is another system that you do encounter from time to time, which is actually pretty solid. Speaking of the amateur team championship, Spinal Tap Chess, I remember once some guy who was like 2200 played this against me. I was terrified he was going to get a draw. It was some important match where I had to win as black, and the guy played this setup with white. And I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to beat him, but I did somehow. It's a very, very sort of non-theoretical but quite solid line for white. And here f4, he's playing like it's a Fianchetto Grunfeld. Feels like white's center is a little fragile to me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm going to pay a price for this, but it looks like I can get in f6. I think I can get in f6 here. But I am hanging stuff. Can we look at rook takes d5, just win? Spinal Tap? What are you guys talking about? You guys are analyzing variation. I didn't really see the whole thing there. Now, can I play f6? f6 is my point. I think I can play. I don't see why not. h3, not a big fan of that. I think you're weakening your king side. It's better to just play straightforwardly e4. I don't know if Guardian is in the stream. Is this the King's Indian attack? No, not really. I mean, King's Indian attack is more like when white plays d3, knight f3, g3, d3 type of formation. When white plays the move d4, it's really not a King's Indian attack. It's some kind of queen pawn game. We would call it queen's pawn game in the old encyclopedias. Unorthodox or rare sort of version of a queen pawn game. So here I don't see what compensation white has particularly for the sacrificed pawn. I think h3 was a little too slow. But one would argue that probably like the whole idea of playing g4 and h3 is not good. So now this move, attempting to remedy the situation, is interesting. I think I have a trick here, like knight c5, and if rook e3, I have pawn takes f4, rook takes e6, f3, bishop takes f3, no, rook takes f3, queen takes f3, knight takes e6, and should be up a couple pawns at the end. It is possible he could pull an exchange sacrifice out of his hat here as well, or some other random move. That's bizarre. Can't send it, non-exist. Maybe I misspelled something. Oh, sorry. So let's see, guys. So rook b4, the only other move, it's not really relevant. I have a5. So I was talking about rook e3 or sacking the exchange. Guardian x9 finds the only other move that I didn't really consider, but I had the feeling that the rook is not really in a good way there.